been a very long time since we've done one of these. And the Nets we can talk about first. The Nets last year basically had KD sitting the bench the whole year, Kevin Durant sitting the bench, the snake, and Kyrie Irving playing very minimal games because of injuries and other problems. And they also acquired DeAndre Jordan last year, who basically was not performing at all last year. And this year, they went out and signed Blake Griffin. They traded for James Harden. And they signed LaMarcus Aldridge. And LaMarcus Aldridge retired about 5 games into the Nets' career because he was having heart issues. James Harden's trade was a 3-team deal with the Cavaliers, the Nets, and the Rockets. Karis LeVert going to the Pacers. The Pacers were the 4th team in the deal. Jared Allen going to the Cavaliers. Eventually, Victor Oladipo moved to the Rockets, and then he moved to the Heat. And Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley went to the Rockets, and some picks. And the Nets received James Harden. So their starting 5 at one point would have been, if everybody was healthy, point guard would have been Kyrie Irving, shooting guard would have been James Harden, small forward would have been Kevin Durant, power forward Blake Griffin, and center LaMarcus Aldridge. That is basically an all-star team, and their bench is stacked as well with Joe Harris and others. After a long year between the COVID-19 pandemic and every sports league going on a hiatus, the NHL playoffs resumed in the summer. The Islanders, who, if the hiatus never happened, would have never even made the playoffs, made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Lightning. In the Western Conference, we had the Stars and the Golden Knights in the conference finals, and eventually the finals went to be the Lightning and the Stars. The Stars being stacked with a bunch of veterans like Joe Pavelski, Jamie Benn, and others. They unfortunately lost to a stacked team of the Lightning with Kucherov, Stamkos, who actually didn't play half the games in the Cup, and they eventually won it with it's all-star year happening, everything going on. It was a big day for them to win the Stanley Cup. In the MLB, they resumed a little bit later and had a 60-game season because their season never even started. They went from spring training. They had 2 days of summer camp where they played scrimmages, and they went to 60-game season into playoffs. The Mets did terrible. They sucked. They're trash. The Nationals didn't perform as well as they should have been. The Braves were outstanding, making it all the way to the semifinals. And in the World Series, we had Mookie Betts and the Dodgers. And on the other side, we had Blake Snell and the Tampa Bay Rays. Many say that the Rays only lost because Blake Snell was taken out in the last game of the series when he was performing greatness. With the NFL season never being halted or anything moved by the COVID-19 pandemic, they resumed week 1 of the season and just skipped preseason and training camp. The Patriots did not perform as well as they were expected to, with many players going on the opt-out list, and the Chiefs performed amazing the whole season, making it all the way to the Super Bowl. The Steelers had a 16-0 season, looking like they were going to make it all the way, and their schedule was arguably the easiest schedule in NFL history, and they went on a losing streak for a long time and finished the season 16-2, and in the playoffs they did not perform well. They got crushed by the Washington football team in the first round and in the wild card round, and they didn't even make it to the divisional round. The Super Bowl ended up being Tom Brady and the Buccaneers beating the Packers in the NFC finals, and Mahomes going all great all the way till the Super Bowl. They were playing pretty well in the Super Bowl, and they just let it get pulled away by Brady and the Bucks. Gronkowski catching 2 touchdowns in that Super Bowl. After the hiatus, because of the COVID-19 virus pandemic, the NBA resumed their playoffs. They called it the bubble, where they had everybody go, and they were in one area, and they were only allowed in certain areas of that city, and they were only allowed to play on certain courts, and they all had to get testing, and they started off with a few games, seeing who would make it to the finals, or the playoffs, I'm sorry, and eventually the finals ended up being LeBron James and the Lakers with Anthony Davis, and Jimmy Butler with the Heat, and the Heat actually had a great run. It was surprising, and LeBron James pulled away, and they won it for Kobe Bryant, who died in February of 2020. Jacob deGrom, crushing the Nationals, absolutely obliterated them. He was great on both sides of the ball, on pitching and hitting. Arguably one of the most best performances by a pitcher. He ended with 15 strikeouts. That's his career high. 15 strikeouts in just one game. He had a full game, 9-inning game. He went 3 for 5 and had an RBI single, and he hit a single to get on base. A great performance, and the Mets ended up winning 6-0 against the Nationals before the next day being crushed with Marcus Stroman pitching 7-3. That's MOOX Dengler signing out for now. See ya later.